So we will continue with digital image interpretation and analysis. So we saw in the last class how it is basically done and what are the various processes. Why is it done? What is usually done? What are the various operations that are done on the image? Can anyone tell me what are the various digital image processes that we do on an image? Discussed seven various processes. We discussed these processes. All these processes we discussed what it is and why it is done. We discussed that in the last class. Image rectification and restoration, image enhancement, image classification, data merging and GIS integration, hyperspectral image analysis, biophysical modeling, image transmission and compression. So the first one we will go into detail into each of these processes now. So the first process is image rectification and restoration. So you can see in the bottom I have shown a few figures. So all those uh, bold black boundaries are the actual images, but the lighter lines show the image acquired. Okay, so you can see shift errors, scaling errors, vertical to horizontal errors, skewing errors. You can see how when the image is obtained, they might be distorted like this. So these images have to be restored or rectified to their actual shape. They have to be brought down to the bold squares, bold rectangles, as you can see here. So that's the actual shape, and these images have to be rectified or restored to their actual shape. So for that, you undertake various processes. So, as I mentioned, you have to correct these image distortions or degradations that have happened during acquisition. So, there are so many features that contribute to this image distortions while acquisition. So, that depends upon the type of camera, mode of photography, whether it is along track or cross track, and field of view, platform, etc. Do anyone know what is along or a cross track? So, along track means suppose your flight is moving in this direction, flight is moving like this. So along the track it is clicking pictures. Along the track it is clicking pictures. It is called along track photography. That means if the flight, this is my flight, suppose this is my flight, the flight is moving like this. So below this it will take the photo. This is along track, along the track. Okay, another method is my flight is moving like this. This is my flight moving like this. And this is my flight direction. So there is a camera here which takes the photo. This camera pans the area in this direction. So the photo that is taken is something like this. This is the photo that is taken along this. This is the photo that is taken. Okay, so the camera moves like this, back and forth, and it keeps on taking photos. So this is a cross track, across the track. This is how the photo is taken when the flight direction is like this. Okay, and the other one is along track, where along the flight direction the photos are taken like this. Along the flight direction, the photos are taken along the flight direction. These are the two types of image acquisition. Just for your knowledge, someone asks you what is along track and across track, you should know this. Along track and across track image acquisition. Okay. So depending upon this mode of photography or type of camera, field of view, the platform used, depending upon these various factors, there can be some errors. As you can see here, shift error, scale error, vertical to horizontal error, skewing error, then distortions, noise pollution. So all these issues will be there. So to correct these, there are three major processes. We discussed this yesterday. There are three major processes. One is geometrical correction. So these are all geometrical errors. You can see here. These are all geometrical errors, isn't it? You can see these are all geometrical errors. So these have to be corrected. So here you can see. So due to variations in the altitude, attitude, velocity, Earth's curvature, the atmospheric refraction in the atmosphere, relief displacements, etc., there can be some geometrical errors. As you can see here, there is a this is the satellite flight path. You can see the satellite flight path, and these are the photos that are taken. Okay, so each of these photos, they should be actually the image should be like this, right? This outer boundary. Actually, the image collected should be like this, but due to these errors or due to these distortions, the image is slightly skewed like this, as you can see in this photo, how the image is supplied and what is the reality. So these errors have to be corrected and the images have to be de-skewed or shaped to fit the actual boundary before you start analyzing the image for extracting data from it. So there are two types of corrections. There are two types of geometric corrections. One is a systematic or correction for systematic or predictable distortions. That is one thing, and the other one is corrections for random or unpredictable distortions. So the first one is a systematic correction, which is easily done using the formulas you have. Depending upon the distortion source, what is the source of the distortion, you have equations to correct these figures. So one of these errors is the skew distortions. As I mentioned, here you can see, skew. This should be the actual figure, but the figure obtained will be something like this. So that is one type of a distortion. So these all distortions, or depending upon the distortion source, there are various formulae to correct it. So one example like that is skew distortions. So due to the eastward Earth rotation, you can see here in the bottom image, bottom left image, you can see the direction in which the Earth rotates like this, west to east, right? So this is the direction in which the Earth rotates, and here you can see the path of the satellite. Path of the satellite is like this, right? So as the Earth rotates eastwards and the satellite is moving like this, one photo, each photo that is taken there might be a westward displacement, isn't it? Because the Earth moves very fast towards the east direction and the satellite keeps its path steady. So as the Earth moves forward or eastwards, there will be a slight displacement in these images towards the west, isn't it? Here you can see on the right image, this you can see the satellite path, and as the Earth is moving like this, there will be a slight displacement, westward displacement in these images, right? So, as I mentioned, yeah, due to the eastward Earth rotation, scanner cover area slightly westwards of the previous stream. So, it can be de-skewed by offsetting the scan line slightly to the west. So, this scan line is to be supposed to be slightly de-skewed by offset to the west side. So, finally, the final image will look like it's a slightly skewed image. It looks like a parallelogram like this. It will look like this. Instead of looking like this, it will look like it's a bit skewed, right? Because there is a slight westward offsetting, so that total area coverage is done as the Earth moves fast to the east direction. So that is one correction to be done, that is de-skewing. So that can be done using formulas. Next one is a random or unpredictable distortion correction. So that is carried out by correcting the, analyzing the GCPs in the image. You have the, suppose you have image acquired. Suppose you have a landform in it. So you identify, few GCPs in this area. Suppose you have identified 3 GCPs. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. What are GCPs? Can anyone tell me? Yes, so ground control points. So this is, suppose this is the image that you have acquired, and you mark these ground control points on this image. Okay, so you mark these ground control points, and then you know the exact coordinates of these points. Suppose x comma y. You know the exact coordinates of these points, but related to this x comma y, this might be x1 y1. This can be x2 y2. The actual coordinates. But these might not match these exact coordinates on the image that is acquired. So what you should do? You should actually correct, stretch, or you should actually stretch or rotate or scale this image to finally match these actual GCPs. The image that is acquired here, this image should actually match these GCPs. Then only you can say that this image is correct, right? This image is geo-referenced, isn't it? So for that, what you do is you will identify these GCPs, and these exact coordinates of these GCPs, they are submitted to a least squares regression analysis to find the coefficients of two coordinate transform equations. So you know the actual points, you transform it to find out the you transform it to the actual coordinate transform sorry you transform it to the actual coordinates by some transform equations, and those values which get the least squares in the regression analysis, they will be the exact points that are matching on the actual figure and the ground control points. So there will be again after this process is called affine transformation. So after this process, again there will be slight distortions in the image, but they might be correctly geo-referenced. So if x comma y, small x comma y is the distorted image coordinates and capital X comma y are the corrected map coordinates, then small x is equal to a transform function of the corrected map coordinates. Similarly, you will do this for all of these GCPs, and this transformation will be based on the least squares regression analysis so that they match the best possible way. So that is random or unpredictable distortion correction. So another method is resampling the image. Another correction method is resampling the image. So here the coordinates of the corrected matrix cell is transformed to find the corresponding location in the distorted image. You know, here you corrected the based on the GCPs, you actually corrected the image. You made a geometry correction on the image. So for that, each of these figures, as you know, are a set of DNs, isn't it? What are DNs? What do they represent? Brightness or some the data in each of those pixels, isn't it? Right? So they are digital numbers. So the digital number in each of these cells, the digital number in an output cell, it is determined based on the digital number that surrounds the transformed position in the input matrix. Suppose this is the DN that I am looking at. Okay, digital image processing, it is fed into the computer one pixel at a time. So suppose I am looking at this particular pixel, I know the DN of this particular pixel in the photo. Okay, this has to be corrected. So the output in the after correction, I get another cell where that DN has to be corrected. The same at the same location, this DN has to be corrected. So what I do is I will interpolate this DN based on the cells surrounding it. Okay, so this method is called resampling. So the DN in the output cell, suppose this is the same location. So the DN in the output cell, the DN of this particular cell, it is determined based on the DN that surrounds its transformed position in the input matrix. Alright, so based on the cells surrounding it, I will find out the value of DN of this particular cell such a way that carrying out the same for all these cells, I will get a corrected image. So for that you have three methods. One is nearest neighbor resampling, another one is bilinear interpolation, another one is bicubic interpolation or cubic convolution. So in the nearest neighbor resampling, there will be a slight spatial offset by 1.5 pixels maybe encountered in this method, nearest neighbor interpolation. So what you do in nearest neighbor resampling or nearest neighbor interpolation is that the DN is assigned based on the nearest cell in the input matrix. So this DN is decided based on its nearest cell, this one or any of its nearest cells. Based on these nearest cells, the DN of this particular cell is assigned in the from the input matrix. This DN is assigned in the output matrix. So you get the new DN for that particular location. Then you have bilinear interpolation, where a distance weighted average DN of 4 nearest pixels are considered. You consider 4 pixels around it, and based on that you will interpolate the DN of this particular cell in the output matrix. So based on the DN of 4 nearest pixels in the input matrix, you will resample it to you will find out the DN of a output cell here. That is bilinear interpolation. interpolation. So this gives a smoother output image, but there will be slight gray level alterations when compared to that of nearest neighbor resampling. So when compared to nearest neighbor resampling, this will give you a more smoother output. Of course, it is obvious, isn't it? Because you are considering the average of the four nearest pixels instead of the most adjacent pixel in this, right? So even more better, clarity or even more smoother, what you will get will be through bicubic interpolation or cubic convolution, where the output cell DN value or pixel value is found from evaluating 16 cells in the input matrix. You will consider 16 cells around the actual point of interest or the pixel of interest. You will consider 16 cells around it, and based on that 16 cells, you will figure out the DN of the DN in the output side. So this is bicubic interpolation or cubic convolution. So this bicubic interpolation or cubic convolution, using that method, if you correct your image, it will be sharper than both nearest neighbor resampling and bilinear interpolation. But the problem is that it alters the original image gray levels, because your new DN is an average of all these 16, not an average, it's based on all these 16 pixels around it. So of course your original image DN values are altered a lot, right? So nearest neighbor resampling, that is the least, bicubic interpolation, that is the highest, but image sharpness, bicubic interpolation gives the sharpest image when compared to other. Clear? Now coming to the next correction, it is radiometric correction. So radiometric correction, it's a error that depends upon the sensors, and the radiance, always the radiance measured, that is the energy that is observed by the sensors or captured by the sensors, or the radiance that is absorbed by the sensors, that depend upon the scene's illumination or the exposure, the atmospheric conditions, how much scattering is there, how much atmospheric absorption is there, then the viewing geometry, the instrument's response characteristics. Based on these parameters, your radiance absorbed by the sensor can vary, isn't it? So, and further, in the visible and near infrared spectra sensed images, the reflectance of the features might be different. So, this is dependent upon the radiance measured, and for correcting this radiance measured, you have to consider two parameters: the sun's elevation and the earth and sun distance. So these two are the corrections in radiometric correction. One is sun elevation correction and the other one is earth sun distance correction. Just an example, stating an example: the radiance from a particular feature, suppose that radiance is x, radiance from a particular feature on the earth's surface that is sensed by the sensor, suppose it is x, that is the radiance that is sensed by the sensor. But if the scene illumination is very less, if the scene illumination is very less, the energy that is available for reflectance, if it is less, will the value of x be higher or greater? If x is the radiance, if the scene illumination is lesser, will the radiance be higher or lower? You have the earth, you have the sun, you have the satellite orbiting the earth, and the sun casts its energy or light on the earth's surface, and this is sensed by the satellite, right? So if the scene illumination is pretty high, the image sensed by the sensor or the radiance captured by the sensor, will it be higher or lower? If the scene illumination is very high, it will be high, isn't it? Similarly, if the atmospheric disturbances are more, if there is a lot of scattering in one particular location or one particular season or one particular time of image acquisition, if the scattering is very high, there is a lot of dust particles in the atmosphere. When the scattering is very high, then the radiance measured will be higher or lower? It will be lower, right? So depending upon these various factors, the radiance that the sensor absorbs or senses will be varying, right? So this has to be corrected, isn't it, before you start analyzing the image? Because even the depending upon this radiance, your data interpretation may vary, right? So these has to be corrected based on the two corrections here. One is the sun elevation correction and the other one is the earth sun distance correction. So the sun elevation correction, because the elevation is different in different seasons, that solar illumination also will be different, isn't it? Depending upon the sun's elevation, your scene illumination also will be different. So that is normalized with respect to the maximum brightness if the sun was at zenith. If the sun was exactly above a particular feature, and if the uh, if you know the maximum brightness or the maximum solar illumination for a particular feature, then the elevation, depending upon the elevation difference in different seasons, this value is normalized. The radiance is normalized depending upon the maximum brightness when the sun was at its zenith. That is sun elevation correction. Now the formula is very simple. The new dn will be equal to the dn divided by cos alpha. That's it. Where alpha is 90 degrees minus solar elevation. Or it can also be equal to new dn will be equal to the corrected dn is equal to dn by sine beta, where beta is the solar elevation angle. These are simple corrections that can be done just by dividing the actual dn divided by the solar elevation angles, or alpha or beta, 90 minus solar elevation angle or solar elevation angle. Depending upon this, you can correct your image for sun elevation correction. So pretty simple. Next one is the Earth Sun distance correction. So the distance is expressed in astronomical units. Do you know what is one astronomical unit? Have you heard of that term, astronomical unit? Just for your general knowledge. Anyone? Any idea? Have you heard of astronomical unit? 149.6 into 10 power 6 kilometers. That is one astronomical unit. Okay. So anyway, when this distance increases, then the irradiance decreases, right? Irradiance decreases when the distance increases. That is pretty obvious, isn't it? When the distance between the sun and the earth increases, then the irradiance will be reducing, right? It's actually that irradiance, suppose the letter I used to represent it is E is inversely proportional to the distance square, because my irradiance E is equal to E naught cos theta naught divided by d square. This is the equation where my E is my normalized solar radiance. E is my normalized solar radiance. Then E naught is solar irradiance at the mean east to south distance. Then theta naught is the sun's angle from the zenith, and d square is the earth sun distance. Anyway, I'm not, you don't have to go further into detail into that formulas and all. Let's just understand what it is. So that solar irradiance, it decreases when the distance between the earth and sun increases. So as I mentioned, the irradiance is inversely proportional to distance square. It is inversely proportional to 1 by d square. So this has to be corrected. And further, then atmospheric effects are there. What are these atmospheric effects? There might be the energy illuminating an object might drop because there is some scattering or some path radiance. Sometimes the energy illuminating an object can drop, can be reduced when there is some atmospheric absorption or some atmospheric scattering, right? And there can always also be some scattered extra path radiance. Do you remember that equation? The total spectral radiance measured by a sensor, L total, was equal to, anyone remember this equation? L total is equal to rho E T by pi plus LP. Does anyone remember this equation? We have seen this in atmospheric effects. That means the total spectral radiation measured by a sensor, it is a function of the object reflectance, object irradiance and transmission of the atmosphere. Object reflectance, object irradiance and transmission of the atmosphere, and some extra irradiance which is due to the scattered energy in the atmosphere, that is also sensed by the sensor. So this also has to be corrected. So how do you correct that one? How can we correct this? Suppose you are looking at clear, deep and clear water. Deep and clear water. This is your satellite. Of course, this is your satellite. Okay. This is your satellite. Yes. So you have your sun. So this energy that falls on an earth feature, it is reflected and it is captured by the sensor, and some of the energy that is scattered in the atmosphere, that is also sensed by the satellite, that is this LP, isn't it? Right? So if if you are looking at deep clear water, if this feature is deep clear water, then the reflectance is zero here, right? This function will be zero. Rho et by pi will be zero. So whatever is sensed, if you are looking at a deep clear water, data is observed, the satellite is observing a deep clear water feature. So whatever energy that is absorbed or whatever irradiance that is measured here will be what? It will be LP, isn't it? Yes or no? Right. So from all the data that you have acquired, you can subtract this LP value so that you can correct it for this path radiance and haze compensation, isn't it? Yes or no? So that means for all the data collected by the satellite on that from that particular area, there is some atmospheric scattering or extra, uh, you know, extra path radiance that is absorbed by the satellite. So if you are, this is how you calibrate it. If you look at deep clear water, there is no reflectance. The reflectance is zero. That means the rho et by pi will be equal to zero, and the only radiance that you collect will be LP, which is my path radiance, right? So if I subtract that path radiance or that particular value from all the pixels, I will get a corrected image, isn't it? Yes or no? Did you understand? So that is my one correction for radiometric correction. I hope it is clear. It is one example of radiometric correction. It's clear. So that is path radiance, due to the scattering that adds some haze to the image. So that haze has to be compensated or calibrated or corrected. That LP has to be subtracted from all pixels. So that is haze compensation. So then further, this DMs are converted to the absolute radiance values when you are considering the absolute radiance or reflectance required. So this is radiometric correction. In geometrical corrections, one is systematic or predictable corrections, another one is random or unpredictable correction. And the second correction in second type of image pre-processing is, there are three types of image pre-processing or image rectification and restoration. One is geometric correction, second one is radiometric correction, and the third one is noise removal. Okay, this is the third one. So do you know what is image noise? Have you seen image noise? Anyone? Have you observed image noise? Variation in the brightness. When will you usually see this noise in the mobile photographs? Mostly you will observe this noise when you are taking photos in the night, isn't it? You see a very grainy photo, right? Or maybe if you are taking video, you have seen the videos are very grainy when you compare that to the videos that you take in the morning, isn't it? Yes or no? In the mobile photos or video, have you observed that? So those grains, those shots or those grains in those images are called noise in the photo. I don't know how clear this photo you can, how clear you can. Can you see the difference in these two photos on the right? Can you see the difference in these two photos? The left figure is a bit too grainy when compared that to the right image. Because I don't know whether as the data, maybe your bandwidth is different, so maybe the figures are not as clear as I see. Are you able to observe the difference between the left and right image? If not on the top image, you can see on the bottom image. Bottom image, probably you can see there is a lot of noise on the bottom image, bottom left. Once that is corrected, noise reduction is carried out, you can see the right image, it is much more clearer than the left image. Can you see the difference? I hope you can see that. Hope it is clear. So this unwanted disturbances in the image are called noise. So that happens due to a few reasons. One can be a limitation in the sensing, maybe the sensors limitation. Then another one is signal digitization errors, or some problems during the data recording process. Maybe your sensor cannot take very good photos in low light conditions. Depending upon the f-stop panel. Do you remember the f-stop panel? When you buy a camera or when you select a mobile phone, you will see the camera parameters f1.8, f2.4 you might have observed. So if the f-stop value reduces, it means that it can take better photos in the night. Do you remember? Can you correlate that? So that means your sensor is better, isn't it? So depending upon the limitations of the sensors or some errors during the digitization of the signal or even sometimes during the data recording processes, some unwanted disturbances in the image can happen, as you can see in this image. That is what you call noise. So that actually degrades the true radiometric information in that figure. If you look at the bottom left image, you can see that if you consider the DNs in those pixels, it might be, it might not be actually correct. It might be there will be some error in that DN or the data that you collect here, because it actually degrades the true radiometric information in those pixels, right? There are three different types of noise errors. Uh, they are all systematic problems. That means they can be corrected with some equations also. They are predictable and they can be corrected using some equations. Those are called systematic errors or predictable errors. So there are three major types of systematic errors in noise. One is striping or banding. I hope there is some, you can observe some difference between the left and right image. On the left image, you can see there is some striping or banding on that image, isn't it? But on the right image, it is corrected. So that is done by a process called de-striping. So this striping or banding, MSS scanners, which are multispectral system scanners that are sweeping multiple scan lines simultaneously, they can contain stripes or band because there will be variation in the response of individual detectors or individual sensors. So due to this, in multispectral scanners, sometimes this striping or banding can occur. So, as I mentioned, it is a systematic error or it is a predictable error. So, this can be easily solved by using an algorithm or using an equation. This image can be processed to obtain a de-striped image, as you can see. So, striping or banding is one type of noise error. Then the next one is line draw. You can see on the left image, there are some unwanted lines. The number of adjacent pixels have variation in DNs. Here you can see that those black lines you can see on the left image. So those pixels are having variations, or it is different from its adjacent pixels, which is highly unlikely, isn't it? There will not be a drastic difference in the in adjacent DN, in the DNs of adjacent pixels, isn't it? There might not be a drastic difference, but here you can see there is a large variation in the DNs of adjacent pixels. So that causes the image to look like it has a line in it. So this is corrected by replacing those pixels with the average digital number of the adjacent pixels above or below that line. Just like we did that resampling, you will consider the average of the DNs of the adjacent pixels and you will correct those pixels where the DNs are highly varying. So this is called correction for line draw. Is that clear? So this is line draw. The last one is random noise problems, where you have a pixel to pixel variation in the gray levels. So this is called bit errors or short noise. You can see on the first image here, you can see there is a lot of noise. From pixel to pixel, even adjacent pixels, there is a large variation in the gray levels. You can see there is large variation in the DNs in adjacent pixels also, isn't it? So they are called bit errors or short noise. It will give you a salt and pepper look of the photo. But you can see, as I mentioned, the adjacent pixels itself, the DN largely varies throughout the figure. So this is called a random noise. So this is done by correcting it by, again, similar to resampling. The pixel replaces the average DN of the neighboring pixels. You will consider a 3 by 3 area or a 3 by 3 neighborhood. Suppose so this is my pixel that is under consideration. So this pixel's DN value might all actually be largely different from its surrounding pixels. Like you can see here on this figure, there is a lot of noise in this figure. So what I will do is I will replace this DN, this value I will replace with the average DN of a 3 by 3 matrix around it. I will consider all these pixels, 9 pixels around it, and considering the average of these pixels, I will evaluate the DN of this particular pixel. Or I can also go for a 5 by 5 interval. So I will correct this DN based on the average DN of all these surrounding 5 by 5 pixels. So I keep on, I can keep on doing this, and I can keep on bettering that image step by step. So here you can see the drastic difference between these two figures you can see, right? So this is random noise correction. Is that clear? What all corrections did we see today? We saw the image rectification and restoration process today. So we saw geometrical correction, where you have systematic and random corrections, then resampling, then you have radiometric corrections depending upon the radiance measured, depending upon the sun's elevation correction or the earth sun distance correction. Then we have noise removal, depending there are three different types: striping or banding, line drop, and random noise problem. So what are these errors and how they are corrected is what we saw. Is that clear? Right? Thank you.